Thank you very much, Carmela, for that nice presentation. Staying with Pierre's, QI, QA line, if I may, I want to change the order a little bit and ask Edgar to go next. Is that okay? And talk about the method, and then come back to accreditation.
Good morning. As the first speaker said, I agree that all the approaches can work under some circumstances. And basically, and perhaps I can include our approach too, they were developed by people with experience and with knowledge of the principles of quality. So that's a general characteristic of all the approaches. I will try to quickly address here under what circumstances an approach such as ours can probably work better. So when and where a standardization approach such as ours can work better. We all agree on this. I won't repeat that there is significant evidence of what works, but we don't have the standards in place that was illustrated in the first presentation. So there is a critical gap between what is known and what is done. So our approach is heavily oriented towards action. Perhaps it's our bias and one of our limitations too. This is the reality in developing countries. This is the context. We have few, you can read them, but I would just point out that we have few health workers. So in order to introduce a quality approach, the workers have to quickly see what they gain from the approach. So the recognition, maybe some learning, some information, something for them. We cannot assume that they are able to identify their own problems because pre-service education is really weak in most of the countries, so they may not even know what they are supposed to do. I'm not generalizing, but that could happen. And management systems, including information systems that was raised by Jim, are pretty weak. Some approaches based on clinical records and review may not work, not because the approach is not sound, it's because the information is not there. So these are the real limitations. So where we said how, under these circumstances, how to go from evidence to action. And we say we are very good at having the evidence. We are good at translating the evidence into guidelines, but we know what happens with guidelines. They are many times in the shelves. And we are not very good at translating the guidelines into operational tools, in tools that can help implement things day by day. And I will say things that help providers to put all the evidence into practice. So we developed this, adapted the Plan, Do, Study, Act, and I pretty agree with what Pierre said in his presentation. And the 4 steps, the first step, we put the setting the standards and implementing, of course, measuring progress, and the last step for us is recognition, because it's very important to introduce this culture into the service as a motivating element. Our process is very simple. We identify what outcomes we want to have, what processes based on evidence lead to that outcome, and the critical steps of that process are standards. But these processes need also inputs. For instance, some given competencies in providers, some drugs, some information systems, et cetera, and these are inputs, and they are also standards. And we are careful that our standards include all these dimensions. Readiness, which are the inputs, safe care, which is the basic safety for patients and clients, and effective practices, high impact interventions, and also the last one, respectful care. This has, we had even a very hard, tough fight in our own organization. They say, we are interested in people having the oxytocin or a good cesarean section. Who cares about if the provider says good morning or hello? We don't believe that. From the very beginning, our standards included respectful care standards, and were a bit difficult at the beginning, but now there is a broader and broader recognition of the importance of this element in care. So this is the typical standard. We have address a systemic area like antenatal care, deliveries, etc. And these standards tell providers not only what to do, but also how to do it. So this is the advantage. I would say providers immediately can see that this can serve as a job aid too. And then you have the defined steps. We have to reach agreement with the ministries of health, with all the stakeholders on what standard we are going to use. And I don't go into details about how this happens in each country. We do a baseline assessment, analysis of the gaps, what is not in place is a gap and needs to be corrected. The interventions have to address all the performance factors they don't know, they are not enabled to do, or they don't have the motivation, and continuous supervision and external and internal monitoring process to finally finalize in recognition, which is ongoing. And the change management, on top of that, recognizes that we need this motivation to develop clinical leadership, and it's my personal opinion, leadership starts with knowledge. If you don't know what you are doing, you cannot be a leader. So these standards, which are our value added, tell people really what to do and increase their assurance about what they are doing and strengthen leadership. That was our experience. Reinforce continuing learning, because the standards are linked to that. Empower frontline health workers who feel now that they know what they are supposed to do and are more conversant with the external supervisors. And finally, institutional and social mobilization. Some people ask, where are the ministers of health? Where are the top leadership? I'll put an example here. This is the Minister of Malawi celebrating the recognition of one of facilities. They obviously would like some good press after all the bad things that happen in health. This, not only a minister, a local manager, recognizing with a kilogram of sugar or a soap, the good performance, saying, good job, you did something good in Malawi. In Mozambique here, the minister, proud workers showing him how they improve on maternity. And see, the participation is the whole facility. And not only that, the external community, because the bishop, the donor, the representative of the governor, the director of the hospital, etc., etc. So these are examples of social mobilization and involvement of the top leadership that wants good news in health services. And here's an example of Afghanistan, the minister again, analyzing this. And finally, I would say, well, does this work or not? We have some studies, comparative studies that show some results that are encouraging. But here an example very quickly of Mozambique, in which you see in the left side, the improvement in practices after the implementation in 102 maternities, which represent 30% of the deliveries in the country. And tracking through improved service statistics, and what Jim said, improving service statistics is very expensive, very costly, time-consuming, and it's not so easy when done at the scale. And you see the mortality going down. And we say, okay, this service statistic is imperfect. Could be this real? And we use the LIST modeling and to assess if these interventions are real at this level, with the coverage that we have, what would be the mortality that we can expect? And we got the other curve, and the curve show that more or less resembles the obtained for service statistics. So it's reassuring. Because of the magnitude of this change, this should be reflected in the next DHS. We should expect that this type of institutional mortality is captured. This is another from Zimbabwe, similar curve. And finally, we believe that our processes occupy some part of the spectrum, is simple, intuitive, systematic, and contributes to basic standardization of care, is not focused on single problems, is not typically only a QI problem-solving approach, it's more a mix of those. Focus on the human factor, the motivation, the involvement of the political level, the society and the community. It lends itself to the use of IT tools. You can put the standards in tools and link it to learning materials, but has limitations, like not everything can be standardized. Some processes are complex, cannot be linear. Because it's systemic, and that was captured by one presentation, could be slower to show results, but obviously more consistent, more broader, and perhaps more sustainable. And the issue of institutionalization. We have good experiences, but we wouldn't say that we have institutionalized the process everywhere. So that was, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much for that excellent presentation. May I request Paul to talk about the accreditation piece?